All right, in this video, we're going to talk about treats. Now, treats are obviously a very big thing in the dog training world. You use them to teach your dog behaviors, you use them to reward your dog for giving you desired behaviors, use them to lure your dog to do things. Sometimes you just give your dog a snack. So, I thought it would be a good thing to make a video all about treats, the different values of treats, why we use them, and some of the things that I believe surrounding treats. One of the biggest things I always hear as a trainer is, when can I wean my dog off treats? I don't want to use treats forever. When should my dog be able to do this without treats? Now, I understand this. I don't carry around treats everywhere that I go. I don't want to carry around treats everywhere that I go. It kind of makes your hands stinky if you are giving your dog treats everywhere. And eventually, it is true, your dog should know a behavior well enough to do it without treats. However, I think of treats as your dog's paycheck. And personally, I'm not going to work if I never get paid. So, if you never pay your dog, eventually they're going to lose their willingness to do that behavior. I don't know if you've ever noticed, if your dog really knows sit, and you've always treated them for sit, but then you stop, and you never give them another treat for sit. After a couple months, you're going to start having to ask a couple more times. You're going to start having to correct. That's because they haven't been getting reinforced. So, every once in a while, surprise them, give them a treat for something that they've known forever to keep reinforcing that behavior in order to keep that behavior going and expanding. I just personally don't think it's fair to expect your dog to work for you and do all of these commands or tricks, but never get paid for it. I know I wouldn't want to do that. So, the first level of treats that I always start with is just kibble. This is actually not Tucker's normal kibble. This is what I use for his treats. I do use his normal dinner kibble. If I'm training around dinner time or if I'm really doing something that he knows and it's just a little push. So the very base would be your dog's kibble that they eat every day. And the very half step up would be a different type of kibble. It can be a different protein of the same brand. It can just be a totally different one altogether. But kibble is a very good base for treats because it's not something that's super expensive for one. Two, it's something that you know your dog is used to. It's just a really good treat to give your dog to let them know that's what you wanted them to do, but it's not high distraction or it's not a new behavior. It's just a good baseline treat, and it doesn't have a ton of extra calories that you're going to dump into your dog for no reason. That is the baseline treat that I recommend to start with for everything, and we can go up from there. Let's take a second to talk about values of treats. So, when you up the distraction level or up the difficulty level of a new skill, you're going to want to have a higher value treat. Because in a more difficult skill or a higher level of distraction, you have to make something worth it. Think about a recall. When you're trying to get your dog to come back to you, say they slipped out the front door and now they're chasing a squirrel down the middle of the road. Is that squirrel more reinforcing or is you screaming at them reinforcing? No, that squirrel is way more reinforcing. So if you have trained the behavior, the recall, with a really high value treat, that makes you a lot more interesting than that squirrel, if that makes sense. So you have to match the value of the treat to the skill that you're doing. If you're just doing basics at home, no distraction, just practicing or just reviewing a trick that they've known for a long time, use that kibble, use that low value thing that they don't really need to be that focused for. But as you up that distraction or you up that difficulty, you're going to want to start upping the levels of treats so your dog will still stay interested and still want to work. Okay, after kibble, the next step up, and the one you probably see the most often, especially with puppies, is training treats. This is my favorite type of training treat, Zooks. It's also Tucker's favorite. He loves the rabbit. He's allergic to chicken, so he doesn't get the chicken. But they're small, they stay soft. Training treats in particular, you want them to be very small, which is also why kibble is a good thing, because you don't want your dog spending more time chewing the treat than thinking about why they got it. So small, soft treats are great for training and they can last a long time. Usually they're pretty low calorie too. You can see this bag says less than 3 per treat. That's perfect. We don't want to be feeding them a ton of extra calories. Milk bones, fun fact, one milk bone is the equivalent to a slice of pizza for people. So you want to stay away from giving your dog milk bone after milk bone because it can cause a lot of extra calories and cause them to become overweight. So training treats, Zooks, Pet Botanicals, anything small. Merrick makes really good ones too, and those are more natural and limited ingredient. Anything small, chewy, those are great. Next level up from that, I actually am out of treat sticks, which is unfortunate, but like Blue Buffalo makes sticks. Pepperoni does too, but Pepperoni unfortunately is full of a lot of fillers and things that are not great for your dog. They are really cheap, and they're kind of like potato chips. Most dogs can't get enough of them, and it's just because it's junk food. So if you're gonna give your dog pepperonis, just make sure it's a limited amount. In that same category as pepperonis, I use these True Chews, like filet type things. These are the steak flavor, again, because he's allergic to chicken. They also make a duck that I've found most dogs are addicted to. They love it. And with this, again, you want to keep treats small. So I take it and I break them into pretty small pieces. They're soft, they're easy to break, they're easy to rip, and they're easy to get through quickly for training. I would not recommend giving them a whole one of these for a snack, just because they're a little bit more high calorie, but also it's going to be gone really quick, so it's not going to occupy their time very much. Same with the sticks. You're just going to want to break them into small pieces, but they're not great for a snack time to keep them occupied. Maybe a half step up. I use these from Crunchios, and they're probably one of Tucker's favorite treats aside from the really high level stuff you can use. They're still small. I actually break these in half. They're this size. I consider this to be a little bit big, so he gets half of one most of the time. They break pretty easy. These ones are actually really good about not crumbling, which is what you have to worry about with biscuit treats. When you're training, biscuit treats are not the best if you're trying to get a new skill down, because it takes them a little bit longer to chomp on it and eat it. The softer, smaller ones are a little bit easier for that. But I really like those. Those are good. Yeah. Another really good option for treats is fruits and vegetables. Now, I don't actually have any carrots right now. I just ran out. But carrots and sweet potatoes are amazing. You can bake sweet potatoes. You can look them up online. It's a low temperature for a really long amount of time, but they'll keep a lot longer. Or you can just do chopped up raw sweet potato. A lot of dogs really like them. Apples are good, chopped up. And blueberries are also really good. Same with strawberries. I actually do chop up apples and put them in my treat pouch because my dog loves them, and he will take them as a treat for just about anything. I chop up apples and string cheese and use them together because they are both a higher value treat. Keep in mind, if you are giving your dog human food as treats, apples, cheese, blueberries, anything like that, you want it to come either from their bowl or from your hand when you are not eating it. If you don't want your dog to start begging for people food, you want to avoid, like, say having a piece of cut up apple with peanut butter that you're eating. You want to avoid reaching down and giving your dog a piece then too, because then they learn that your food is their food. But if you're giving it to them at a separate time, say out of your treat pouch or out of a bag that's meant for them, then it's a little bit easier for them to make that distinction. All right, the top level, highest value of treats. For most dogs who do not have a chicken allergy, boiled chicken, no seasoning, just boiled chicken because seasoning can be a little hard on their stomach. Boiled chicken that's cut up into cubes is probably one of the highest value treats out there. Hot dogs, this is what my dog loves. These are actually pure beef hot dogs, but you can get the really cheap ones. I think there's packs of them for $1 at Walmart for a pound of them. Chop them up. Make sure you only use those for really high value things. You don't want to waste those on smaller things because then your dog learns that they don't have to do the higher value thing because they're still going to get that same treat for the low value thing. Hope that makes sense. When you use high value treats, you want to make sure you use them sparingly. They are a little bit more high in calorie, so you don't want to give your dog a ton of them, but they are great for teaching those higher distraction behaviors. I particularly love to use hot dogs for recalls or redirection training, things that are a little bit harder. Another high value treat, they make freeze-dried beef liver or chicken liver, and those are really good. It's almost crack for dogs. They love it. So yeah, those are what I would consider the higher value treats. Now, some dogs are not exactly food motivated. So instead of food, maybe your dogs are motivated by toys. So I have two other options for that too. A tug toy and a ball. Basically, they just earn playtime the same way that they would earn a treat. If your dog is not interested in taking a treat from you, or maybe that's just not high value enough, maybe have a special tennis ball, maybe one that squeaks, or maybe a special rope that they only get during training time to make it a higher value for them. And after they do something well, they get released to go play with their toy for a second. Every dog has their own motivators. Some of them are just as motivated by a scratch on the head as they are the hot dogs. So really you have to focus on what is going to motivate your dog the best for them to learn the best. Okay, there you have it. I just wanted to pop in and make a quick video on treats and what I feed as treats to hopefully give you guys some good ideas. The fruits and veggies are a lot cheaper than your typical training treat, and so I really like to use them, and you know exactly what's in them because it's a single ingredient. So if you can use those, I would recommend it if your dog likes them, alongside their just usual kibble. Anyway, I hope that answers some questions on treats, and don't forget to keep paying your dog no matter how well they know a behavior.